What's up, everybody? Today we're here to talk about the DC Universe. I mean, if you have been around my channel, you probably know I love the DC characters. I'm a fan of Superman, huge, big time. Love Batman, love Wonder Woman, and I the thing that would make me happiest would have been a DCU that worked, that was as big as the MCU. But unfortunately, I have been saying this for many years now, is that the biggest Superman villain, or the DC villain, is has been Warner Brothers so far, because of their lack of planning, the lack of understanding of understanding of these characters and how storytelling should go and what gets people interested. But anyways, today I'm here to talk more specifically about Zack Snyder and how there's this article saying that Warner Brothers set me up to fail. And well, I gotta say, I really like Zack Snyder. I think he has a unique and great style. I don't think that, I'm not one of those people that think that directors should just do whatever they want. I mean, they have to have an agreement between the writers, right, the director and the studio, mostly because I guess one should keep the other one in check. But I think what happens with Zack Snyder was mostly a lot of the things that Warner Brothers did that indeed set him up to fail was the fact that they wanted, this article is mostly talking about that, they wanted an MCU, but they didn't want to put the whole time to get into that. And that's just something that to me makes zero sense. I just don't understand. As far as casting goes, I think we had the best casting. You know, I wasn't like 100% thinking that Ben Affleck was going to be a great Batman, but I really enjoyed his performance. I thought, wow, he's actually really great. Henry Cavill is just the spitting image of Superman. I mean, the guy looks like he was, he just came out of a comic book. And Gal Gadot also had a lot of, I think backlash, right? People didn't think she was going to be great, but she turned out amazing. Love Jason Momoa. I think the casting was the best thing. But the problem is that what Zack Snyder wanted to do, in my opinion, didn't quite work because everything was rushed. I mean, think about it. Henry Cavill only had one solo movie with Superman. And I mean, that movie didn't even do that bad, but it feels like Warner Brothers wanted a $1 billion movie. In the first film, and there's just so much that goes behind it that I just don't understand. But one of the parts that I wanted to read in this article is this thing over here. It's a Warner Bros. Wanted to achieve the same level of success as their Marvel counterparts and aimed to build a franchise as big as MCU. The Marvel Universe had a head start of nearly 5 years and had already released a team-up movie, of course. However, one thing the MCU did right was to establish most of their heroes' origin stories before the Avengers in 2012. I mean, this should sound like a no-brainer to anyone, right? I mean, if you're planning a universe, even if you watch the cartoons and the animations, the only reason a team-up would work is that if you have the solo movies first. But again, Warner Brothers wanted to rush things. They didn't care about that. We just need our MCU. And they just kind of like made a mess of the whole thing. Continue on. They also added superheroes with no backstory into the team, but did it perfectly and maintained an element of mystery in their stories. In contrast, Warner Brothers and the DC studio got it all wrong when they tried to emulate the success of MCU, failing miserably in the process. And you know what pains me, guys? What pains me is that I love the Marvel Universe. I mean, I start liking the Marvel characters because of the movies, but I still, like, if I had to pick, I think Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, there's no beating those characters. Those are my favorite of all time. I think the DC characters are better, the characters. But, I mean, we could have had great films, but unfortunately, Warner Brothers did us dirty, and I don't blame Zack Snyder. I think I think maybe he had some crazy ideas, fine, but they also the fact that the studio was rushing him and wanting him to build this universe without even creating separate films. I will get to more what I think. Let me just read a little bit more here. This was reviewed by Man of Steel writer David Goyer when he appeared on the Happy Sad Confused podcast with Josh Horror. I don't know how to say the last name. Goyer is famously known for his work with Christopher Nolan on The Dark Knight. Well, so Goyer said that, but here are my thoughts on this whole DCU failure, because come on, we have James Gunn now, and he's coming with a new Superman movie, Legends. He has a completely other idea, which is, I'm not against it, okay? I'm fine with having another Superman, it's okay. That's not what I really want. What I wanted was Henry Cavill back in that suit, and I think he deserved another movie. I think he has enough fans that also want that. But it was just... it's just so sad how Warner Brothers from the very beginning, I feel like every single Superman movie there's always a studio messing things up, and maybe, you know, this goes back to the Christopher Reeves films. You know, I wasn't even born at that time, but even at that time, studios were already messing up the sequel and fighting with the director and things like that. But anyways, what I think was the problem with this whole DCU failing. Well, first and foremost, we had Man of Steel, right? We should have had a Batman movie and a Wonder Woman movie, and maybe even a Aquaman movie. And then after, we could have had... a Batman v Superman, maybe another Superman movie, and then a Batman v Superman. I mean, Batman v Superman is something that I think everyone was so excited to see, and they just rushed it. That movie, in my opinion, has some great fight scenes, has some great cinematography, gets a lot of stuff, it's really great, but a lot of stuff, in my opinion, also didn't work. By the way, I just reacted to that movie. If you want to see my reaction, I'll put the link here or here, you'll get to see it. You see how I reacted to the entire film. I actually reacted to the long cut and the 3-hour cut. And here's the thing. They brought in Doomsday in Batman v Superman. And I don't agree with that, because I think Doomsday is a separate story. That would have been a story that should have happened much later on. By logic, because Doomsday is what kills Superman, right? And when Superman is dead, we have the Justice League, we had that funeral. But the reason why I think Batman v Superman failed so... I mean, I didn't think it was such a failure, but a lot of the critics say that it was failure. And after that, I mean, we didn't have many movies, right? But what I think that happened is that Superman had just one movie. I feel like he just met Diana. Like there is not a lot of like a feeling of loss. I mean, for me that is a Superman fan, I totally understand, but the whole thing just feels rushed. You know, it feels wrong. I don't think that movie... I think that should have been a conflict just between Batman and Superman and Clark Kent. They shouldn't have brought Doomsday. It was just a whole mess. And then other than that, we also had Warner Brothers trying to rush everything and just wanting to create a universe without giving in the proper times. And one of the things that would have happened is also not so... movies that are not that popular. For instance, if you look back at the MCU, not every single movie was $1 billion, was a hit. However, those movies are there. If you want to know the stories of all the characters, you can watch these films, and then when they are together, they really feel like a group. But we didn't have that. It's like they're so desperate for amount of money, even though Man of Steel did pretty well. I think he made like 700. It did very well. I mean, not as well as Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but it was doing very well. And I just, because of that, they just thought it was a failure, and just what else did they want it? You know, every single movie needs to be $1 billion movie. Things don't work like that. Sometimes you will have movies that are necessary, but they're not going to make as much money, but they're going to be part of the story, and people eventually are going to get to watch it. But anyways, this is a whole mess. It's totally sad for the I mean, DC Universe fans like myself, because especially if you wanted to see Henry Cavill, because I still think he should come back. I mean, I want to see the new movie. I'm excited it's going to be a brighter Superman. Maybe that's what they should have done. But, I mean, right now I just don't even know what to think about. I just want a good movie. I don't know if the DCU will be, there's just so many mixed stories. First they say everyone is out, and now apparently some people are back. Gal Gadot is going to be back but not, but Aquaman will stay. Like, it just, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. So if you're as confused as I am, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But anyways, guys, drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this whole mess with DCU. Do you think that the DCU still have a hope with James Gunn? Do you think that he will change this whole thing? Because I believe, like Zack Snyder, they won't be bringing him back, even though as much as I wanted to see the continuation of the Zack Snyder cut. I loved that movie. I thought that movie really made sense, because Justice League, come on, it was a disaster. That's where you see desperation. My goodness, if a company is willing to put out a movie with such horrible CGI, with that mustache, that was an atrocity that I just, you can't unsee that. I can never watch that movie again. I only want to see the Snyder cut, because that movie makes sense at least. And it's very unfortunate that so far we're not going to have the whole story, that Zack's not gonna get to finish the story, and anyway, the mess is done. Drop your comments down below, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.